Alright, here's part two. Two vital finds on this whole economic stuff, the inheritance subject, whatnot. I probably don't need to say all that stuff. Yep, just had my dinner, so you got me at a disadvantage, but now my brain doesn't have much blood in it, because blood's all working on my stomach. So anyway, but we'll do our best. We'll try to put up a good fight.
Okay, now, Broken Mechanic, who claims to be a socialist, says that he believes in the democracy of corporations, where everybody should have an equal part of the corporation. But the thing is you never have a situation where 1,000 people get together on the same day and simultaneously invent the chip, the computer chip. It starts with a few people.
Wait a minute, that's a pretty good example though, isn't it? I mean, isn't that a pretty good example? It was an IBM employee, a Bell Labs employee, okay, who invented the transistor, all right? And he didn't get $1 billion, all right? Invented something brilliant. He didn't get $1 billion, okay? So it doesn't work for your example. See, the example is that he should get rewarded. He did a great thing. He should get a great big fat bonus for doing something good and productive, all right? But he shouldn't own the world because of it. It's like somebody invented the wheel once. Do you think we should be paying his descendants? We should find out who genetically invented the wheel, and we should pay all his descendants a little take because of how useful the wheel was, like it would never get invented someday by somebody else? Is that what we should pretend? That all innovation is stuff that would never happen if that guy didn't do it? Come on. All right, you can have a business. You can have a business that says making car business, and somebody can have a great idea in that business how to do something even better than assembly line, some great innovation. Well, you give the guy a big fat bonus. Okay, you don't got to give him the store. You don't got to give him the whole business. You don't got to give him planet Earth as a reward. No, you just give him a damn nice bonus for it. Okay, you give him a good reward for it. All right, but the business is owned by the employees. It's owned by the people. All right, it doesn't have to be owned by some capitalist who inherited it.
People. So I don't even understand the way in which. Okay, now this was not you. This was Broken Mechanic, but he was talking about corporations where everybody's equal. But it didn't start out equal when the corporation came into effect. So,
well, let's understand how most business come into effect. Somebody gets a big pile of money, okay, and they start a business. But look, the Hearst example, I'll use that one against you. I'll use a lot of examples against you, but you have this fantasy perception that it's all fucking for the good, all right? William Randolph Hearst, all right, inherited some $100 million, okay, out of no place, all right, from a relative he didn't even know. All right, and he basically got into the publishing business, and it's just like it says in Citizen Kane. I mean, it was basically, yeah, I can lose $1 million for 100 years. All right, who's going to be able to compete with a guy who can lose $1 million for 100 years? Nobody's going to be able to survive. So what he did, he just took everybody else out of business. He spent 7 years losing money. And once those years were over, he owned everything, okay? He owned the frickin' industry, okay? And then he could just exploit the hell out of everybody, make a ton of friggin' money, build himself some Shangri-La, right? Who's living in Shangri-La now? Who's all that labor, all that marble, all that artifacts from all over the world, shipped all over the place, all that human labor to build this monument to one fucking stupid fucktard? You know what we could have done with all that human labor? You know the productive good we could have done with? We probably could have built the whole friggin' internet with that goddamn labor. It's like the pyramids, all right? These are monuments to waste. What could the Egyptians done with all that labor if they put it into canals and irrigation and civilization? I mean, they might have invented the PC 700 years earlier, 1,000 years earlier, if they would have invested in something other than a stupid monument to grotesque, egomaniacal self-indulgence.
These are questions. Does that mean that the initial inventor and risk taker of the company
Well, you keep talking about this risk-taking thing, okay? So here's another example for you, okay? The risk-taking scenario. All right, I got a florist business, okay? I actually did do a risk-taking, okay? I spent 20 years working for somebody. I saved up enough money, bought myself a business, okay? I got a nice little florist business. Okay, some bitch comes in, we have an argument, and I call her a fucktard or whatever, and she gets all pissed off. But she happens to have this really rich husband, like a Google guy, right? And she just says to the little rich husband, give me some money. I want to start a florist business and put that guy out of business. All right? So she opens a florist business right across the street from me, right? And so now that I pissed off this bitch, all of a sudden now I'm going to be out of business, right? Because she can lose money for 6 years. She can lose $1 million in 1 year. All right, I'm not going to stand a chance. I mean, right now, the Google guy, I'll even bring him up as an example because this is just so funny. All right, he's a billionaire, 10, 12, 15 billion dollars, whatever it is. I lost a little bit now because the stock is down, so maybe it's only 10 billion. And so his wife is in the genetic engineering business. You think there's anybody going to have the balls to do that risk-taking? You think any venture capitalist is going to say, hey, you got a great idea, Gary. Why don't you invest in that genetic engineering stuff and compete against them? You think that's going to happen? No frickin' way, okay? Because the writing's on the wall, all right? That bitch can lose money forever, all right? I'm not going to be able to compete with her. You think she's going to go bankrupt? I don't think so.
Put his money down on the line or whatever. Does that mean that he should get zeroed out or leveled out?
Who's talking about leveling out? We're just talking about proportion. We're talking about getting rid of this lottery system, this everything for the 1 in 8 million. Instead of giving the 1 in 8 million everything, what we're saying is let's do it, you know, some other rational way. Let's divvy up these carrots, these incentive carrots in some other rational way. Let's put the carrots in front of workers and give them an incentive to do more work, more productive work. All right, let's not put the incentives in front of people who never did a day's work in their life.
The company is in play. You didn't seem to like the fact that, or like my suggestion of Tom and Paul getting a higher percentage of Vloggerheads. So, with that, I'm thinking...
Well, what do you mean by higher percentage? I mean, that's really the devil is in the details, as they say. I mean, if it's 90-10, that ain't right. Okay? I mean, what's the percentage? I mean, is everybody going to get paid $12 an hour? Maybe they can get $20 an hour. I mean, how much more do they get? $500 more an hour? I mean, what's the proportion? What's the proportionality? These are the important questions. I don't think anybody sees it as offensive that somebody might make twice as much as somebody else or 3 times as much as somebody else, but it starts to get damn offensive when somebody's making 100 times, and especially when they're not doing anything.
Thinking that you must feel as though the efforts of the initiator need to be brought down to the level of the people who just kind of come in at the last minute without having done the footwork.
Oh, come on. Is the footwork? I mean, got in the door first? Is that what you mean by footwork? I mean, come on. I mean, a lot of this is stuff you fall into. What YouTube fell into something. Facebook fell into something. All right. I mean, the door would have opened at some point. I mean, what, 3 months later, 4 months later, some other competitor? I mean, the time when Google existed, all right, the same time Google existed, there was a website called All of the Web. It had this technology called fast technology, which was a little bit slower than Google, ironically, right? But the search results, when tested by independent people over and over and over again, were just as good as Google's results. But guess what? They didn't have Google's name, and it wasn't fun and happy and froggy and all, hoppy and happy, and so it didn't succeed. All right, and that's the difference. Even Microsoft at the same time, Microsoft proposed putting ads on people's websites, right? And everybody got obscenely upset because, Microsoft's going to put ads on our web pages. They can't do that. And what happened? A year and a half later, Google did exactly the same thing. I mean, a little different, but the same exact idea. Okay, so it comes out of Microsoft's mouth, it's evil. Comes out of Google's mouth, it's wonderful and charming. Yeah, we're going to put ads on everybody's website. I mean, it's just such a bogus argument.
Playing it back is what I'm doing. Okay, yeah, you said something about Tom and Paul exploiting us vloggers. Well, this is another psychological point, but
I don't even think I said that. I didn't say exploiting, did I? I don't think I said that. I just said that their contribution, while valuable, is not the golden goose or something. It's not like the cure for cancer. It's not something that deserves a huge and perpetual reward. Okay, it might deserve twice as much, but it might not deserve 100 times as much. That's all I'm saying.
When two adults are involved in an exchange, the word exploiting is an odd one in my
yeah, well, to me that's the silliest statement ever made. So when we have migrant workers come into our country, we're just making a fair contract, right? I mean, the fact that they have a wife and kids to feed in another country, that doesn't have anything to do with it. And the fact that their wife and kids are in this country looking for more money too, so they can buy a better cardboard box house over there in Mexico, that doesn't taint the contract at all. The fact that their bellies are rumbling or their kid might have cancer, no, that doesn't change the equation at all, right? It's a fair contract, right? It's not like they need to eat and sleep somewhere, right? I mean, people don't need to eat. You know, they can go without food for a year or two, right, and wait for a better contract. They can go out without, they don't need a house. What do they need a house for? The weather's fine in California. You don't need no house, right? So you can go 3 or 4 years and negotiate a better contract, right? You can turn people down, but you don't have any immediate needs for survival. Come on. Oh, God, come on. Silly argument.
mind. Okay, let's see. I think this was from you versus broken mechanic, but the right of workers to control equals socialism. I put question mark. Now, so I would assume, and I haven't watched all of your economic videos, but I would assume that you like unions.
Yeah, well, that's another one of these false assumptions. What can I say? I've repeatedly said I would fire every government employee right now. Just fire them. If I was president of the United States, I would fire them. Okay, they have completely abused their extortion power. I'd fire every police officer. I'd fire them all. Okay, they've extorted us. They said, give us more money or else we're not going to teach your children, or we're gonna make the hospital fall down. I mean, screw that crap. Extortion is crap. Okay, fuck extortion. All right, we should have a constitutional right guaranteeing employees a certain amount of respect. Human beings deserve respect. You're going to work 8 hours a day. You're going to do an honest work. Damn it, you deserve to get paid a rational, reasonable wage for that damn work. And the fact that it's manual labor, or the fact that there might be 100 people in the line for that one particular job, okay, should have nothing to do with the fact that your work is work. You have sacrificed part of your life to do this friggin' productive labor. And that's the irony. In our social system now, the most productive workers are getting paid the least. All right? The ones that are really making this country run are the ones we're abusing the most. And that's an obscenity.
And I sort of like unions, except that when the UAW, the United Auto Workers, have brought things to the level where the company can't even...
Oh, preposterously bad example, okay? It wasn't the unions that brought the frickin' thing to the wrong level. They made a reasonable wage, a wage a man could raise a family on, okay? They got respect for their work, okay? There was nothing wrong with that. How it became uncompetitive is because we decided to go around the world and farm our work out to desperate people who would work for nothing. And you know they're working for virtually nothing. They're working for a hamburger a day. Okay? And that's the game you're playing. And you're saying that, oh, well, it's the union that ruined the business. No! It's forcing human beings to compete with desperation that ruined General Motors, okay? General Motors can't compete because we're allowing the competition to do nothing short of enslave human beings. General Motors is being obliged to compete with slave labor. What sense does that make? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Exist. Then that doesn't benefit anyone. It would be great to think that everybody could get $250,000 a week in their paycheck to...
Yeah, use a preposterously outrageous, silly example, right? That's really fair. Yeah, I'll use a silly, preposterous example. Okay, if you take the real wage scale of the General Motors employees and take out the management that's weaseled its way into the union contracts, okay, with a lot of big, huge bonus contracts and all the rest of that stuff, what the men were paid and their benefits were reasonable. Okay, you work 30 years of your life in a pretty harsh environment, you deserve a good fucking benefit. You deserve to be rewarded for that hard work. All right, it was a fair deal. All right, what made it an unfair deal was our acceptance of exploitation. It's, oh, we weren't hey, we don't have the sweatshop in this country, so therefore it's okay because we have the sweatshop over there. And that's the game we're playing, and it's obscene and disgusting.
Answer the phone or turn a screw or whatever, but